cherry mama. Hot cherry mama. She's a hot cherry mama. Hot cherry mama. She like a hot cherry pepper. The hot cherry mama. I sure like to do it a whole lot better. The hot cherry mama. I wanna take it to the go dance. The hot cherry mama. I'm just looking for a little romance. She's a hot cherry mama. Hot cherry mama. Hot cherry mama. She's a hot cherry mama. The hot cherry mama. She like a hot cabinet. Hot cherry mama. Wherever you go, honey, I want to go. The hot cherry mama. She always on my mind. Hot cherry mama. Got to think about the way my time. She a hot cherry mama. Hot cherry mama. Hot cherry mama. She a hot cherry mama.
Good morning, everybody. I like the new intro. Let me see here. The music is too up. Well, I'm trying to get my brain in gear. It helps. So who am I saying good morning to this morning? Wolf Girl, Neil, Mad Panda, who always wants me to start early. Ghost Dog, Vercingetorix. Oh, morning, Levi. Let me see who else. Hey, there's a fan in my chat. There's a Jason Todd. There's an Ericor. And that's all the good mornings this morning so far. More may join in after it. About time. Hush, Panda. Said I'd be maybe a minute late. Had a typo in my new waiting room. Hope you guys like that. I like Zydeco's. Just the right amount of upbeat for me. Thank you. Thank you, Ghost Dog, for the compliment. Oh, God. So let's see. What happened yesterday? Yesterday was all kinds of messed up. Every time I tried to go on a live stream, I was constantly freezing. The only time it didn't happen was when I was actually on the live stream with Nachi Free, and we had a wonderful conversation last night on his channel. Yep, very Cajun. I like Cajun Zydeco jazz. I like all sorts of music, and to me, you know, it kind of gets me going in the morning when I listen to it. I'm hoping to get more of those, or, you know, make another intro with salsa music in there to get people's, you know, blood flowing first thing in the morning. Got to get your butts up and moving, right? Yeah, I know, but that is not what I'm covering in the news this morning. I'm probably going to do some research on that a little later on, but thank you for letting me know about that. Put that down here. That way we don't see that while we're doing the cast. Let me see. First order of business to be the weather. So let's go ahead and get that started.
We're keeping a very close eye on what's happening with Harvey in the Gulf of Mexico. Some of the latest forecasts had this
gaining hurricane strength just prior to landfall as it makes its way towards the coastal bend of Texas. This is expected to bring some very heavy rainfall as well, and we could be talking about some spotty severe weather concerns, not only in the southern U.S., but also across parts of the nation. Well, Harvey has made its way back into some very warm water temperatures. This now in the Gulf of Mexico, again regaining that tropical storm status. And out ahead of this storm system, National Hurricane Center, National Weather Service offices have issued some tropical advisories, including some hurricane warnings in that brighter red. And again, we're going to be watching this very closely as we watch this system lift to the north over the next 2 to 3 days, again intensifying as it does. So this storm definitely is worth watching. Not only are we expecting some very gusty winds and high surf along the coastal bend, but excessive rainfall. This just takes us through Sunday morning, and some of these numbers may be underdoing some of the numbers that could actually fall. So again, we could see some double-digit tallies by the time this is all said and done through the weekend. There's the latest official track from the National Hurricane Center, getting hurricane status potentially by Friday, and then making landfall, at least potentially, as we take you into that late weekend, early next week. So watching it very closely, and then that forecast track has it bringing it close to the Tennessee and Ohio Valley by next week as well. So other than that, we have another weak wave over Florida that could bring some heavy rainfall tallies there. Temperatures in the eastern U.S. have dropped significantly. The cooler air may stick around through the end of August and early September across much of the strong to severe storms in the mid-Atlantic states and marginal risk areas over the Intermountain West and also across the plains here over the next few days. That's where we could have a couple of strong. Really watching what happens with Harvey over the next few days. Have a good one.
Okay, so we're pretty much on hurricane watch there, especially around the Texas area. So anybody watching this in the Texas area, please be careful. And please keep your eye out on those particular incidents. I don't want any of my friends that are in Texas to get hurt. All right, following along our wonderful news. I'm going to have to adjust this a little bit. Not that, the other one. Here we go. I have to make it a little skinnier. There we go. Let me move this over. All right. These pictures are a little bit bigger than I thought. All right. Here we go. So, Typhoon. Oh, got to put my eyeballs on. Shit. Okay. Here we go. Eyeballs are on. Typhoon Hutto leaves 16 dead after lashing southern China. And when I start reading, I start coughing. Yay. Okay. And yeah, he's in a playful mood back there, so you're going to see him bump in and out here and there. 8 dead, 8 died in the gambling hub of Macau, where images showed cars underwater and people swimming along streets. The enclave's famed mega casinos were running on backup generators. Macau's leader made a public apology after his government came under fire for its delayed storm warning, while the head of the Weather Bureau resigned. The man was killed by a wall that was blown down, another fell from a 4th-floor terrace, and one was hit by a truck. The Macau government said 2 bodies were found in a flooded car park early Thursday, and that 2 more died when they were trapped in the basement of their shop. Details of the remaining deaths were not immediately available. Footage published Thursday on the website of Apple Daily showed water gushing into an underground car park, with people wading through neck-deep water littered with debris as one man shouted in panic. It was not clear if the same car park where the bodies had been found. Yep. I'm about to cough. All right, that was averted. Now I need to drink more water. Shit. Ugh, gonna have to gargle. All right, Macau's leader, Fernando Chui, and other government ministers bowed their heads during a minute's silence at an evening press conference. These 2 days, we have faced an extremely difficult test together. Hutto is the strongest typhoon in 53 years and has brought tremendous damage to Macau, Chui told reporters. In facing this disaster, we admit we have not done enough. There is space for improvement. Here I represent the Macau government in expressing our apologies to the residents, he said, adding that the city's meteorological bureau chief has resigned. Debris was scattered on roads, and a shipping container was washed up on its side in front of a temple after Wednesday's storm. In Hong Kong, Hutto, whose name is Japanese for pigeon, sparked the most severe Typhoon 10 warning, only the third time a storm of this power has pounded the financial hub in the past 20 years. So, there we have it. That is our first story related to all right, next one, let me see. And our next story. Yep, Charlottesville. And yes, they are. I read that what they're doing there is they're actually covering up the statue. They did that before the memorial service of the girl that got hit by the car. Hare. So they did that in honor of Hare. Everything seems to be in honor of Hare in Charlottesville. Oh, brother. All right, let me see here. Charlottesville reschedules community recovery town hall. Charlottesville residents will get a chance this week to talk with city officials about a white nationalist rally earlier this month that devolved into deadly violence. The city had planned Thursday evening to host what it calls a community recovery town hall in collaboration with the community relations services of the Department of Justice, but Charlottesville officials said the event has been rescheduled for Sunday afternoon due to conflicts with the local high school student activities. Officials will provide an update on recovery efforts and offer opportunities for public comment, according to the news release. It's been nearly 2 weeks since the event, which attracted what's believed to be the largest gathering of white nationalists and white supremacists, I keep leaving that out, in at least a decade. Rally attendees encountered protesters, Antifa and BLM, they don't like to, call them out, I will, fought in the streets. Heather Heyer was killed when a car plowed into demonstrators during a march, and 2 state troopers died in a helicopter crash that day. And they still haven't linked the helicopter crash to the incident at large. Morning, Mitch. I see you popping in there. Let's see here. Oh, down for maintenance. Crap. Some residents have criticized city officials for granting a permit for the rally, and others have said police didn't do enough to keep the two sides apart or stop the fighting. City officials already got some feedback at a council meeting earlier this week when scores of people packed the chamber, shouting and cursing at members. The angry crowd forced the council to abandon its agenda. Instead, the panel heard hours of public comment. In other developments on Wednesday, Christopher Cantwell, a white nationalist from Keene, New Hampshire, turned himself in to face 3 felony charges in Virginia, authorities said. Cantwell was wanted by the University of Virginia police on 2 counts of the illegal use of tear gas or other gases and 1 count of malicious bodily injury with a caustic substance, explosive, or fire. So that's what's going on there. Let's see. Sorry for the interruptions, guys. My coughing's a little rough this morning. All right, so that's what's going on in Charlottesville. Okay, let's see here. No, they didn't. The police didn't do anything there, Ghost Dog. If they did, it was few and far between, and it didn't do anything to impact it to stop shit. And I think the mayor was called to task for that. Neil, can you really call that a march, given they were all just standing there blocking everything? They're calling it a rally, then they call it a march. They intermix all the terms together. Wolf Girl, that's the difference between Antifa and white supremacists. Antifa won't admit when they did something wrong. Exactly. And the liberal mainstream media won't call them out. Good morning, Tailed, or good afternoon in your part of the world, depending on what time it is. I've noticed in these things while I'm combing through the news in the morning that they'll say white nationalists all day long. They won't say white supremacists for some strange reason, because to me there is a difference in between the two groups. But they will never, ever, ever say Antifa or BLM. They'll say counter protesters. They won't call a spade a spade. and that frustrates me to no end. She's talking about the one who turned himself in. Finn. Let's see here. Message to Syria opposition. What you're looking at is a sit down. The message to Syria opposition. Come to terms with Assad's survival. Out of Beirut, AP. As Damascus reverses military losses in much of the country's strategically important west and foreign states cut support to rebel forces, diplomats from Washington to Riyadh are asking representatives of Syria's opposition to come to terms with President Bashar Assad's political survival. I'm going to get through this news show one way or the other. Damn it. Ugh. I had to start coughing when I was doing this, huh? The country's civil war has crossed the halfway point of its 6th year, and Assad and his allies are now in control of Syria's 4 largest cities and its Mediterranean coast. With the help of Russian air power and Iranian-sponsored militias, pro-government forces are marching steadily across the energy-rich Homs province to reach the Euphrates River Valley. There is no conceivable military alignment that's going to be able to remove him, said former U.S. Ambassador to Syria Robert Ford, now a fellow at the Middle East Institute in Washington, D.C. Everyone, including the U.S., has recognized that Assad is staying. Morning, Batman. How are you? Yes, he's the real star of the show. I think everybody comes to see the dog. Let me see here. The war has settled into a familiar, lower intensity grind, with the Syrian government now in control of most of the populated West, while Islamic State group militants and Al-Qaeda affiliates, U.S.-backed Kurds, and Turkey-backed rebels hold on to remaining pockets in the north, east, and south. Russia-sponsored so-called de-escalation zones have significantly reduced violence in rebel-held territory, although fighting continues to rage in some areas. With another round of UN-mediated peace talks on the horizon in Geneva, the opposition's chief representative group, the High Negotiations Committee, is being told by even its closest patrons it risks irrelevance if it does not adapt to the new realities. At a 2-day meeting in Riyadh this week, meant to try and bridge differences between the 3 main political opposition groups and come up with a unified vision based on the new political and military reality, divisions were, however, once again on full display. All right. The opposition chief's representative group, the Saudi-based High Negotiations Committee, or HNC, publicly held on to its position that Assad must step down before any political transition. In a statement, it said the opposition group, known as the Moscow Platform, insisted Assad's departure must not be a precondition for talks. We refuse any role for Assad during a transitional period, insisted spokesman Ahmad Ramadan of the National Syrian Coalition, the leading bloc in the HNC, which has always staked out a maximalist position against Assad. But internally, there is talk of restructuring the HNC to give weight to the more conciliatory voices among the opposition. Representatives based in Cairo and Moscow, that groups within the HNC have long derided as the internal opposition for their perceived cozy relations with Damascus. It comes at the urging of the UN's top Syria envoy, Staffan de Mistura, who spent much of the last Geneva talks trying to reconcile the HNC and the Cairo and Moscow groups. De Mistura set expectations last week that those efforts would bear fruit. He said the opposition was in the midst of an intensive internal discussions in order to come up with a more inclusive and perhaps even more pragmatic approach to negotiations, saying he hoped an outcome could materialize by October. Ghost Dog. My question, who, if Assad does get thrown out, is taking over after him, and will he be worse? Yeah, that is the question. We don't know who they're going to have to put in Assad's place for the transition to be smooth, because obviously we can't take Assad out without any plan to seat somebody in his place, because then we're going to have another power vacuum like we had when Hussein was captured. Oh, good morning, A Hero Duelist. For the U.S., that means focusing on fighting the Islamic State group and containing Iran's influence in Syria to protect its ally Israel. Saudi Arabia, too, wants to contain its regional arch-rival Iran, as well as wrest influence away from Qatar, which is seen as a key backer to the HNC and some rebel groups on the ground. Ankara's top priority is to contain the U.S.-backed Kurdish PYD party in North Syria, which it fears will inspire Kurdish separatism in East Turkey. Let's see here. Vercingetorix. Let's hope that Assad's replacement isn't pro-Sharia and is secular. Yes, let's hope. Let's hope. Government forces have blocked agencies from delivering relief to several areas it has held under siege, and while the UN has condemned the tactic as barbaric and medieval, it has been criticized for paying dividends to Damascus, which has seen these areas capitulate one by one. Russia's own leverage over the opposition comes from negotiating ceasefires for besieged areas which are otherwise pounded mercilessly by airstrikes and artillery. It is not clear what the truce is by in the long term, and the same can be said about the opposition's reorientation, if such a thing indeed happens. At a rare public speech before Syrian diplomats in Damascus this week, a confident Assad derided the West and declared Syria will look east when it comes to political, economic, and cultural relations. It remains to be seen whether the opposition, long plagued by divisions, can indeed reconstitute itself into a more accommodating coalition, as capitals from Washington to Moscow have demanded. And it is Russia's backing of Assad that caused the Congress here in the U.S. to sanction Russia, and that whole back and forth there, which I have lovingly called the tit for tat. Let's see here. All right, our final story before we get to the radio for the day. Or is that? Okay, apparently I don't have the story for that one, so that's a blooper. Yay, bloopers. Don't we love bloopers? Okay. Okay, White House to send memo to Pentagon soon on transgender ban. So here's the update that's in the title. The White House is expected to tell the Pentagon in coming days how to implement a ban on transgender people in the military, according to a memo that says the Defense Secretary may decide whether to remove service members based on their ability to deploy, a U.S. official said on Wednesday. Well, I can't do anything with him here, since you guys want to see him and not me. The 2.5-page White House document gives Defense Secretary Jim Mattis 6 months to fully implement the ban, according to a story first reported by the Wall Street Journal and confirmed by the official. It also directs the Defense Department to deny admittance to transgender individuals and to stop spending on medical treatment regimens for those currently serving, the Journal reported, citing those very same officials. Mattis is expected to consider deployability, meaning the ability to serve in a war zone, participate in exercises, or live for months on a ship as the main legal reason to decide whether to separate service members from the military, the Journal reported. President Donald Trump said on Twitter on July 26 that the U.S. government will not accept or allow transgender individuals to serve in any capacity in the military, a reversal of Pentagon policy. The surprise announcement, citing healthcare costs and unit disruption, appealed to some in Trump's conservative political base, but created uncertainty for thousands of transgender service members, many of whom came out after the Pentagon said in 2016 it would allow transgender people to serve openly. 5 transgender members of the U.S. military, including Iraq and Afghanistan war veterans, sued Trump earlier this month, saying the ban was made without consulting senior military commanders. It named as defendants Trump, Mattis, and other military leaders, including Joseph Dunford, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Let me see here. Where am I? Dunford said in a memo a day after Trump's tweets that there would be no change in policy until Mattis received an official order from the president. Stephen Peters at the Human Rights Campaign and Advocacy Group for LGBTQ rights responded in a tweet, "This proves real Donald Trump knows nothing about what it means to be transgender or to serve in the military. Trans service members already do deploy, proving repeatedly What matters is their ability to accomplish the mission, not gender identity. The Obama administration, which ended the transgender ban in 2016, allowed currently serving transgender personnel to immediately begin serving openly, but set July 1st, 2017 as the start of the new enlistments openly transgender people. So there's our last story of the day before I go to the radio. Mr. Mad Panda. I could actually totally get down to him having a little tie and a press cap. Yeah. Well, I mean, we do nickname him the news hound, even though most of the time he spends chasing his toy or a bone or jumping up and down on the bed. Yesterday he found a bug. I can't do anything with him on most days, but I love him to death. All right, here's some NPR news.
We're going to hear now about a controversial new study from the Department of Energy. It could become less reliable if too much electricity comes from energy and natural gas. Environmentalists, as you can imagine, are not buying this.
Morning, Politipod.
Trying to prop up an ailing coal industry. Here's NPR's Jeff Brady. Energy Secretary Rin Michaelis called for the study last spring. The report doesn't say there's a grid reliability problem now, only that one could develop if more coal and nuclear power plants shut down. Those plants are having trouble competing with cheaper natural gas and renewable energy at a time when the country is using less electricity. The Energy Department study points out that coal and nuclear generate power whenever it's needed, while solar and wind can be less predictable. This echoes an argument traditional utilities and power generators have made for years. Scott Siegel is director of the Electric Reliability Coordinating Council.
The most reliable and resilient grid is the type that will balance traditional baseload sources of power with renewable power.
Siegel says renewable forms of electricity got a lot of focus during the Obama administration. Now he thinks it's time for the pendulum to swing back. Mark Creswood with the Sierra Club sees something else entirely in this new Energy Department report.
Are making a last-ditch attempt to try and preserve their market share that is being taken up by fast-growing, clean, reliable, affordable resources like wind and solar.
Kronsell and other renewable energy advocates believe the Trump administration is laying the groundwork to justify subsidies for coal and nuclear power plants.
It will cost consumers more, and ultimately we will all be paying the price, whether it's increased electricity costs or by cleaning dirtier air.
Nuclear plant operators already have won subsidies in some states, and coal companies have lobbied the Trump administration for help. But Scott Siegel says, remember,
Any real bold policy changes require major regulatory change or legislation or both.
the Department of Energy is now accepting public comments on its grid report. Early indications are the agency is about to hit an earful. NPR News.
All right. I got kicked by mistake on COG's Discord, so I guess I'm going to... Well, you're welcome here, Jay Willie. You are welcome here. So that's what they're doing. The Sierra Club, for those of you who don't know, are another environmental group in the United States. These people actually openly prevented the widening of a street in a city that I used to live in, saying that making the street wider would add to more pollution, even though making the street wider would make it easier for you to go, drive down the street. So, some environmentalists are a few marbles short. They're just too busy going, no, no, no. There are some things that are harmful to the environment. I will concede that. But, renewable energy sources are always preferable. The problem is they're not really practical. And a lot of people are probably going to yell at me, so I'm going to explain. When you can prove to me that solar energy or any of the alternative energies, morning Benny, can fuel an airplane and keep it in the sky. When you can tell me that it can do the same when these alternative energies can actually do the same thing for a cruise ship. That's what I mean by practical. Making an electric car is good. The problem is they've had these plans for these alternate sources for energy for vehicles for 15, 20 years now, and it's been the oil companies that have been trying to keep them under wraps because, you know, everybody wants to make a buck. And if all of a sudden you come out with this new innovative technology that makes people spend less money on gasoline and oil, you know, the oil companies, which is, you know, really big conglomerate, let's admit that, aren't going to like that because that means they're going to take a hit on their income. That's just the way it is. Is it right? No. Everybody should have, morning Zeph, everybody should have equal representation in the energy fields and things of that nature. Because, I mean, I would like a hybrid car. I would like an all-electric car or an electric solar hybrid. The problem is they're still working out the kinks. I remember the Chevy Volt was completely electric, but if you let that thing die, you might as well just buy a new one because you'd have to replace the entire electrical system in it because you couldn't charge it back up. That was when it first came out. All right, here we go.
Your mother was a hamster and your father smelt of elderberries.
Shoutouts is our dear Reaper. He hangs out on the servers, he hangs out on Twitter, and he does all sorts of funny shit on his channel. Check him out. Parodies, jokes, and shit posting. Morning, Rin! So check out Reaper. Next one is Rin. She sees things from a middle perspective. She looks at both sides, weighs the information from both sides, and then draws conclusions, and that's how she runs her channel when she does her videos. So y'all check out Rin, and she's looking for 50 followers on VidMe, so please help her out there. Sage, our wonderful historical person who gives us information in a way that I like to listen to. I'm not a history buff, but he presents it in a way where I can listen to the history lessons all day long. Check him out. And finally, our dear Schmeckle, our smart-ass ape of the internet, and I'm talking VidMe, Twitter, and YouTube. And he also hosts a cunt stream at 11 o'clock at night. So you guys check out Schmeckle, and those are our shout-outs. No, you hush. I didn't tell you to play. So those are our shout-outs this morning. What do we have here? We've got some silly shit. All right, here we go. I found some funny memes off of Pinterest this morning, and we're going to go down the list. I figured you guys would like that little intro. You think I'm OCD? Well, I think you're a slacker who can't do things right. All right, here we go. I like to stay in bed, too. It's peeply outside. These are my special goggles that allow me to see through your bullshit. If I say, first of all, run away, because I have prepared research, data, charts, and I will destroy you. I was mopping the floor, turned around, and saw this. Now you have a baby to wash. That cat is ready for anything, I think. That or she wants nothing to do with the snow. He or she wants nothing to do with the snow. When you haven't worn makeup in a week and you put on mascara and you're like, move over, Beyonce, mama's back. Why, yes, Shiny Pan, I did get my hair done. Nancy finally cracks while waiting for her family to notice. Oh, God, Steven Tyler is starting to look like a cool grandma. I'm going to put that there for a couple of seconds while I take a sip. Oh, my God. You have to admire how resourceful this is. I wonder if they sanitized the bowl part first before they started grilling on it. This is redneck ingenuity. Yes, sir. I know you wanted to put your 2 cents in. Yeah, I know. It's playtime. You see him back there, right? It's playtime. I'm running into his playtime, apparently. You know what that sounds like? Not my problem. My time alone is for everyone's safety. Money does buy happiness. It's called a hair appointment. Not for me. I don't go to hair appointments. I love sleeping. It's like being dead without the commitment. It does sound like something Wednesday would say. Husbands are the best people to share your secrets with. They'll never tell anyone because they aren't even listening. And the final one, when you don't have an elf on the shelf, so you settle for a feline on the furniture. And that is our funny for the day to end on a high note. I have been tweeting out people's not only YouTube channels, but also their VidMes. In order to qualify for a shout out, you have to have recent content on your channel, which means at least less than a week old. I will contact you if I don't see a VidMe anywhere to see if you have either a VidMe or a BitChute to shout you out on there to get your word out that way. I am going to put new jewelry items on the store today, up on my store and the website today, so be on the lookout for that. Let me see what else. Oh yes, if you need any editing services, any transcription services for captions on your videos, please DM me. We can talk rates. I'll be more than happy. I am for hire. I'm between projects right now, other than YouTube projects, so there is that as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. I'll finish my YT video soon. Cool. When you do, send me the link and I will be sure to shout you out. Let me scoot over this way. It's always the reverse way that I want it. Yes, I know, dog. And I got to do this. That's the news hound back there. He is ready to play. So I better hurry up and wrap this up before he starts. Let me see. Before he starts his little, yes, I know. You're looking at me because I'm taking too long. You little shithead. All right. Here we go. I'm going to put this over here this time. May your coffee ever flow. May your caffeine be ever strong. And may you have a thoroughly wonderful Thursday. See you guys in Discord.